Nikola Jokic drops another casual triple-double. Is there any way around him getting a third MVP? Plus, the Toronto Raptors, man, the Bucks tried everything they could to give them the game. They just couldn't do it. Is it time to blow them up? And real or fake, a Detroit rookie got rid of his passport purposely so he didn't have to participate in a very bad game being staged in France. It's all right now on the Locked On NBA podcast.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, welcome to a Wednesday Locked On NBA. I wish people could see the little pre-show dance that we do.
It's so awesome.
It's just a lot of fun. I can't do it without the music. So, yeah, it's just kind of like a little
something like that.
Get going, get your juices flowing for a Wednesday podcast here in the Locked On NBA podcast. We're your regular Wednesday hosts. I'm John Karalis. I host the Locked On Celtics podcast. You find me on Twitter at John_Karalis.
I'm Jake Madison, host of Locked On Pelicans. You can find me on Twitter. It's at NolaJake.
Oh, so much to get to here. First, today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered with more props, odds, and lines than ever before this season. BetOnline is where the game starts. And this podcast is going to start if you are listening as a subscriber, which you can do anywhere you get your podcast. You can watch on YouTube. You're watching us start with Nikola Jokic, who is just, it's inevitable. Jake is just inevitable. The Denver Nuggets beat the Portland Trailblazers. They do it to 122-113. And for a while there, I thought the story of this game was going to be, Dame Lillard has 30 at halftime. He ended up with 44. But really, the story of this game is Nikola Jokic, 36 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, 13 of 14 shooting, 9 of 10 from the line. Holy efficiency, Batman. The Denver Nuggets win. They keep pace at the top of the West. They move a half game again up on the Memphis Grizzlies. So the question to you, Jake. We came into this season wondering who the MVP. This is an MVP race that includes a lot of guys who are worthy of consideration. But is there any way to avoid the inevitable? A third straight MVP for Nikola Jokic?
It doesn't seem like it. Like you just mentioned, like that stat line, which is just pure bonkers. And this is just what this dude does. Like, this is just what this dude does every single night. Go to Basketball Reference and look at his game logs. When was the last time he shot below 50% in a game? Like, when was the last time? He actually hasn't done it this season, I don't think, which is just incredible to think about. And he's one of the top 5 guys in terms of true shooting percentage this season. He is so good. He is so good. We've never seen a big man like him. Scoring, assists, rebounds, and all of the knocks that people have had on him have kind of gone away. He's not an amazing defender. He's not a bad defender anymore, certainly. And the Nuggets are better on defense when he's on the court than when he's not. It just seems like we are heading towards an inevitable third straight MVP for Nikola Jokic, which sounds wild to say. And you're going to see people who are going to get very upset about that because that puts you kind of in all-time great territory, it feels like. But with what he's doing, man, like, I don't see how you can pick anyone else at this point.
It's kind of outrageous, the way he is performing out here. And look, there are only a couple of guys who have done this. Larry Bird has done it. Who was the other one who did it? I want to say it was it Kareem? But it does put you in all-time great territory. But guess what, Jake? He's an all-time great.
Yeah, he is.
He is. Let's just get this out there. Like, if you don't think he's an all-time great, like in the Hall of Fame, then you got to really pay attention a little bit more. Like, he hasn't maybe been around long enough to have accumulated the accolades that these other guys have. I feel like in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, he's going to give himself that opportunity to be that all-time great. Like Larry Bird, when he won those 3 MVPs, wasn't the all-time great. He was considered that after he won the 3 MVPs. Now, I can hear people saying, well, Larry won a few championships, and the guys who do this win championships, and that's going to be his challenge here in Denver with this team, with guys who are hurt all the time and a supporting cast that he just needs a little bit more help. But damn it, there's no way you can slice it. As good as Luka has been, as good as Joel Embiid has been, hey, I cover the Celtics, as good as Jayson Tatum has been. He just dropped 51 points. He's in the mix. But Jokic is doing things that are just special and special in a different way. He when I say unstoppable, people think about like Giannis running downhill. But Jokic doesn't wow you with the athleticism. He just picks you apart, man. He's so, with the precision. It's incredible.
It feels weird to put him in the conversation with guys like Kareem, who I think won 6, right? Wilt Chamberlain won 4. You have Michael Jordan, who won 5, right? Some of like those names. And it's almost just because he's missing the championships, right? If he had 2, this would be the easiest thing to ever say, and it wouldn't feel weird, but it does feel a little bit weird, and I'll acknowledge that. But that doesn't mean he's not the MVP, right? Like, that doesn't mean he isn't an all-time great with what he does. And like every knock on him, it doesn't work anymore. Like, it doesn't work. He's a good defender, and it's not a postseason success award, right? You know, that's one thing, but he's also had pretty good postseason success, especially when you consider the supporting cast, or at times lack thereof, around him, with no Jamal Murray, no Michael Porter Jr. When you look at some of the other guys there too, like, reason he hasn't won a title, I feel like, isn't his fault.
Right. Let me be clear here. I have the numbers. Bill Russell won 3 MVPs from 60 to 63. Wilt Chamberlain did it in 65 to 68, and then Larry Bird did it in 83 to 86. So it's been a while, and only one guy has done it in the modern era, and no one has done it in the 3-point era. It's the way Jokic is playing, the way he's playing this season, the way he's lifting his team here's the best way I can tell you how he's lifting his team. On cleaning the glass, on-off efficiency leaders. So these are how the team performed with the player on versus off, and cleaning the glass filters out garbage time and stuff like that. Nikola Jokic is number 1 in the league at plus 23.9. Number 2 in the league is Contavious Caldwell-Pope, who is on the floor almost all the time with Nikola Jokic, and he has a plus 21.7. Is KCP that good? Is he that important to the team? No. He just plays next to Nikola Jokic, and he has this massive plus minus. It's hilarious to me. Aaron Gordon is a plus 18.1, another guy who shares the floor a ton with Nikola Jokic. Is he, when you think of a guy who is a big time plus minus guy, is Gordon that time? No, he's not. But because they share the floor with Jokic, he's lifting everybody up. So look, man, I came into this season saying there's no way Jokic is going to win the MVP. There's the voter fatigue. There's this desire. I think maybe people will say, hey, Embiid has kind of gotten maybe a little hosed here or there. Maybe they'll go a different direction. They're looking for some new blood, maybe Luka. But you can't come into this and say, hey, man, voter fatigue anymore. You can't. Jokic has ascended to the top. There's no other way to cut it. So I'm just going to stop talking. That's my final point. Even I, who came in looking for somebody else, I can't deny that Jokic is the guy right now.
No, look, and you're the Celtics guy, right? And I think number 2 is probably Jayson Tatum in this discussion. And you're like, no, it's not that guy. And I watch him all the time. It's this other guy. Like, no, I get it. Like, I'm with you.
It's not close.
I'm with you. No, I don't think it's close either. If they don't pick him, if it were to end today and he some reason didn't win it, like, something's very wrong with that voting and how people are doing this. And like, voter fatigue shouldn't be a thing when you're having the type of season that he is.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, it's always possible that somebody else in the second half of the season, because hey, we're only just past the first half of the season, but it's been so dominant that whoever makes this, if somebody does take it from him, it will be an incredible performance because Jokic is that dude right now. All right, we're gonna come back and talk about a team that's just struggling. I talked about them a little bit last week when I did this show. The Toronto Raptors, Jake, they are in a tough spot. Blow it up or not, and how much of a blow up should it be? We'll talk about that next. First, today's show brought to you by Rocket Money. If you're like me, you're one of the 80% of people who have subscriptions they have forgotten about, streaming services that you bought because you just want to watch one show, and then when that show's run is done, you've kind of forgotten about it, and you're still paying for it. Well, now you can get Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, and it will help you take care of that and take care of your finances because it is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending, and it helps lower your bills all in one spot. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying the ones you don't want. And this is the best part. Seriously, Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions so easy. You find the subscription you don't want, you press cancel, and they handle the rest. You don't have to deal with emails and phone calls and all of that stuff. They take care of it all. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, and they have saved an average of $720 a year. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions. Manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. That's rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen. How about going to Locked On Game to Game? Every game of this night in the association, we've got 4 games. We just talked about Denver, Portland. You want to hear about it from both sides? Locked On Game to Game. It's right on this feed, so check it out next. All 4 games, both sides of the story. You'll feel like you were at the game. Maybe you didn't want to be at Toronto and Milwaukee because well, maybe you did because that was kind of fun.
It was kind of funny.
It was kind of fun. Just for Brook Lopez getting wrapped up. It was Gary Trent, and he just ripped his headband off and threw it off. That alone was worth the price of admission. So I do rescind my maybe you don't want to be there comment. By the way, Brook got tossed for two hostile acts. I didn't even know what the other one was. Was it a push or something like that?
There's a whole scrum. It's like impossible to kind of like sort through that. And look, to be honest, who the heck knows what NBA refs are thinking some of the time with some of the calls that they make.
Right. After the game, he was like, he's going to get fined for this one because he said, yeah, they make mistakes. They make mistakes all the time. Even with if they can't get it right on the floor, then why would I expect them to get it right with the replay? So he's going to get dinged for that one. I know we're going to play real or fake in the next segment, but let me hit you with a quick surprise real or fake right now. Real or fake, Jake Madison. Bill Kennedy lives for announcing replay reviews.
Oh, this dude, it's so real. It's so real. That dude loves it, man. He sounds like Christopher Walken up there sometimes with the way he's speaking and doing the like intonations of his voice. And I can't even do the impression. Like pausing and like there were times when it looked like he was a stand-up comedian that like made a joke and you got to wait for the applause to die down before you can continue with the rest of it. Like you hear these boos coming out and he pauses to let the boos come down on him. And it's like, man, just give us the damn call.
What's the deal with these hostile acts? Am I right?
It's like all that.
The Toronto Raptors had every chance. Oh God, that was horrible. Had every chance to win this game. No Giannis. Giannis out with again, they're being really super cautious with his knee. So he was out in this game. No Chris Middleton, obviously. So the Raptors had an opportunity, and then late in a close game, that's when Brook Lopez got tossed, and they still couldn't close out. They still couldn't finish this game off. So it just adds to the pile here of disappointing losses, underperforming losses, and the Toronto Raptors are now 20-25. They are just a game and a half behind the Chicago Bulls. Or I'm sorry, a half game behind the Chicago Bulls, who are 10th, and that would be the play-in. Is it worth them, Jake, going for this play-in, or do they just go in a different direction here? Because a lot of the talk here is that they're the team to watch here at the deadline.
Yeah, sorry for coughing there. They're a really interesting team, and they're a team that could make or break the NBA's trade deadline very easily, right? There's very valid arguments for them to just kind of blow up this team. They don't look like a title contender. They look really bad with a bunch of intriguing pieces that just don't totally fit. And since they've lost Kawhi Leonard and they won the NBA Finals, it just hasn't truly been the same. Part of that was, the COVID season where they were in Tampa the whole time and they were just a mess then too. And that had some lingering effects into the future as well. But you look at them this year and they just don't look like the Toronto Raptors of old. And the second you kind of stop seeing that in them, what's the point? Particularly if you're not in the play-in tournament even right now. And so, yeah, I think there's good arguments for them to blow it up. But at the same point, I don't think that they should, to be perfectly honest. Like, I think they should kind of go for it. I don't see the point of blowing it up. If you're going to blow it up, you're like, this is a full-on fire sale, tear down, rebuild in a way that we haven't seen, and there's too much talent there to, I think, do that. Are they truly going to trade Pascal Siakam? You can sell me on trading OG Anunoby, even Gary Trent Jr. too, even Fred VanVleet. You really going to blow it up and trade Pascal Siakam and see what you can get for him? Like, maybe, but the second you do that, you've got to just trade everyone and you'll accumulate all the picks. But at that point, shouldn't you just trade a guy like Anunoby and then spin the 2 picks you'd get for him for another better player maybe and see if you can kind of make a run that way? I just don't see a full-on rebuild happening there. Not under Ujiri, right?
Yeah, but okay, so there are questions. There are questions that need to be answered. Number one, do you see Pascal Siakam as a number 1 or number 2 option
That's
on
fair.
a championship contender? In some people do, and some people don't. I think the jury's out. He's having a really, really good season. Right now, he is averaging 25 and a half points, 8 rebounds, 6.5 assists. So he's not shooting particularly great from 3. That's always been kind of like a weak spot in his game, but he's still having a good season. Is he a top 2 player on your future champion? He's 27 years old. How far away are you from that championship? Is he going to be 29, 30 when you get to that point, or can you do it real quick? I'd rather keep Anunoby because he's 25, and I think with more opportunity, he can be a bigger performer. And with Anunoby and Scotty Barnes, I would rather move some of these guys. I would rather sell high on Siakam. And obviously, I think Fred VanVleet is a no-brainer. You trade him because I don't like the idea of paying an undersized point guard who is 29. I don't like giving him the 4-year deal that he's looking for, the 5-year deal that he's looking for. I'm not looking forward to giving him $25-30 million a year. As good as he's been, fully acknowledge that those little point guards, they fall off a cliff real fast in the NBA. So I think trading him now is a no-brainer. I personally would be more aggressive with this teardown. And hey, if you can get into the mix for the top 2, everybody's looking at Wembanyama. Even if you get Scoot Henderson on this team, that point guard of the future with the wings that they have, I think that would be an opportunity for a real quick rebuild. I think Toronto can bottom out. They can sell high on some guys. They can get a bunch of picks. They can head really down towards the bottom. I don't know how far down to the bottom they can go, but they can head towards the bottom and get a decent player. And then you can start moving those draft picks to start trading for maybe some veteran stars, disgruntled stars. I trust Ujiri to do this. And if it wasn't for Ujiri, I maybe would be less aggressive about this. But that's my approach. I think Toronto should just accept what they have. accept that it hasn't worked, accept that some of these guys aren't exactly the best fits for what they're trying to do in the future. Make your moves now, do it now, and then hopefully in 2 years you can be back up into the top half of the East.
I'm not sold there as far off as you are, and I think that's fine. You know, this is a team that a couple of years ago won 50-something games. I just lost where I had that in front of me. 53 games, right? The year after they won the finals. Then they had the weird COVID year playing in Tampa. They won 48 games last year. It's not good. It's not bad, certainly. You know, I wonder if they stop being a little bit small and kind of what they are and what's made them work and maybe go a little bit more traditional. Like they really need, I think, a true center that they can rely on, maybe move Siakam a little bit more to the 4. What would they then look like if you could add a 3-point shooter to that team too? Like I'd be curious what this team would look like with like Buddy Hield and Miles Turner on them if you only lost, say, like Anunoby and maybe Fred VanVleet or something like that. I'm just not, again, they don't want to be bad, right? I get the idea, and this is what every team should do, right? If you're not really that good and this team this year is really not that good, like tear it down. There's no point on that. But I think, again, Ujiri is just not the type of guy to do something like that, and he is largely considered one of the better executives in the league. I kind of have like a lot of faith and trust in him, and I just, because of him, don't see them tearing it down because of that. But they're really intriguing. If they decide to move some of these guys, Anunoby is going to get 2 first-round picks, right?
Yeah.
That's a good jumpstart somewhere on a rebuild or acquiring other players. So maybe it's more of a reshuffling rather than a rebuild.
Look, you got Milwaukee, who's old. They're the oldest team in the league, I believe. So maybe if you rebuild now, maybe Milwaukee will age out. Maybe James Harden will go away. Maybe Kevin Durant will age out. Maybe the Cleveland Cavaliers won't exactly work, and Donovan Mitchell might decide to go somewhere else in a couple of years. If you try to bang your head up against the wall, only the Celtics with their young stars seem to be in it for the long haul, because Tatum is 24 and Jaylen Brown is 25. Those guys are young. So you're gonna have to battle the Celtics. If you pull a trigger on a rebuild now, you're not banging your head up against the next year or two of all of these good teams. Maybe you let all of those other teams kind of fall apart a little bit, and you get to kind of hop in as they're tailing off, and you only have the Celtics to get past rather than a gauntlet that you have to get past.
No, that's a really good point. Trying to time your window and when that window opens, and certainly I don't feel like it's going to open this year no matter what trade they make, is a really good point and something to consider. And smart guys like Ujiri think like that.
I hope so. All right. Up next, the poor France. What did France do to deserve Chicago and Detroit on Thursday, one of his marquee games? I'm sure the thought process was a little bit different when this game was scheduled. But we'll play our real or fake with a very funny development from that, courtesy of a Detroit rookie. First, today's show brought to you by BetOnline. Lord knows what people are going to be betting on in that game there. But you can go to BetOnline, your number one source for your sports betting information, your stats, news, and analysis. All the latest odds and trends for every professional league. Hey, if you want to, maybe they have, you can go over there and you can bet on some international sports. Lots of international sports out there that people from around the world who listen to this show love to watch and bet on. So it's all there at betonline.net. They've even got sports podcasts, which I know you love. If you're listening to the sound of my voice at this point, that's also there as well. It's the fastest and easiest way to get your betting information. You can head on over to the website. You can even do it on your mobile device. BetOnline is where the game starts. Please gamble responsibly. Jake, every Wednesday we play real or fake. And we always like to make it fun. So
this one's great. This one's so good.
The Detroit Pistons, their rookie Jalen Duren is not with the team in France as they get ready for Thursday's game against the Chicago Bulls, because dude can't find his passport. Lost his passport, doesn't know where it is. Team officials reportedly they're doing everything they can to get him over there. But as of right now, he's not with the team. So let's go real or fake, Jake Madison. Jalen Duren threw the damn passport away because he does not want to be associated with this international travesty of Chicago Bulls versus Detroit Pistons.
Look, I'm going to go a little different here. I'm going to say it's real. I'm going to say he did this on purpose. Like, I can understand the appeal of it on the surface, right? Like, free trip to France. Let's go and do this, right? I'm an NBA player over there. But how much fun are they truly going to have, right? You're going to probably do some Jordan stuff, some Nike stuff while you're over there. You're going to play this game, and then you got to fly back, right? That's a lot of work to play one basketball game. And Jalen Duren, being a rookie, is probably a little bit tired right now. He's played in 39 games so far in the NBA. He just played in 29 last season in Memphis. We're already over that. Rookies hit a wall. You mentioned to me before we started recording, Banchero said, like, I'm a little exhausted right now.
Yeah.
Why not basically get like a week off? You know, a lot of players go to Cabo, those type of places during All-Star weekend when they're not selected for things, when they don't have to do things. What if you get 2 of those during the regular season? Jet off with some friends, party. Maybe it's your first time to party with your buddies as an NBA player and take a vacation during the season. Yeah, honestly, to a 19-year-old, that might sound better than going to France.
Hey, you guys go to France. I'm going to be in Miami just chilling for a few days. I'm going to go work out in Miami. Trust me, I'm going to get my shots up. I'll see you guys when you get back. Have fun. Just, where's my, oh God, I had my passport here somewhere. God, I can't find it. Yeah, I think if Pistons officials went rooting through his trash, they'd be like, Jalen,
it's under the mattress. Come on now, man. Like
he's got 2 tickets, like you said, to like an international. He's got like an island somewhere. Be like, how did you get there if you don't have your passport, but you can't come to?
You got to turn that location off when you're tweeting or posting Instagram pictures, and just kind of be careful what you're doing on social media right now, and just not get caught. Who's gonna know? They're all in France. They're gonna have no idea where he is. He can go work out wherever he wants. It doesn't have to be the team facility or anything like that. Yeah, totally. He definitely did this on purpose, right?
So what I know that before the season, they thought, hey, let's get some of our younger talent over there. This is a team that we can kind of, Chicago is supposed to be pretty good. Let's get one of our legacy teams out there that's going to be a decent team in the East. But how do you think the NBA feels about having Chicago and Detroit as the way they are now with, no Cade Cunningham, like the guy, marquee guys are hurt, to have that be their kind of like international showcase right now? I'm sure people in the NBA are just like, oh God.
Yeah, the combined 32 wins that they're sending over to France right now is exactly what they wanted, right? Are more people going to tune into that, or did more people tune into Wembanyama playing in the U.S. Against the G League Ignite, right? Like that's the kind of funny thing here, right? The bigger draw is the reverse of this, I think, what everyone wants to see here.
That's hilarious because this is a Thursday afternoon game. Who besides people like us are going to be watching that game? And even I'm not going to be able to watch that game.
Say, you think I'm going to watch this one at least live? No.
I mean, I can't even, because the Celtics play the Warriors on Thursday at home. So when that game's going on, I will be driving to the games. Shucks, I cannot. Watch
this. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. They don't control these things, but this one just kind of on the surface seems questionable. Usually when they do this, it's like a Jordan brand team, because I think Jordan sponsors PSG, the soccer team out there. So there's a lot of like overlap. You saw Luka and Zion over there this summer doing stuff. Like, it's kind of surprising to me. It's not like one of those two teams with one of those like marquee players that makes sense with some of the corporate sponsorships and stuff like that.
Couldn't get Minnesota to get out there and have it be like a Rudy Gobert, like
yeah, like that makes a ton of sense, man. Give it to the Pels. I want to go to France for an excuse to cover the game.
I mean, they have connections to France. I mean, there's the Napoleonic.
Whoever drafts Wemby is going next year, right? Like that is almost a lock that they're going to do that.
Absolutely true. New Orleans and Minnesota would have made a whole lot of sense. You could have gotten into the whole French connection to Louisiana and all of that stuff, and that makes a ton of sense. This game makes no sense. But hey, it's going to happen. and the guys can talk about it on the Friday Locked On NBA podcast because we, sir, are finished. We're done. This show is over. I want to thank everybody for listening, for making this your first listen every day. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. Got something to say to us? Disagree with us? Agree? It's in the comments. Put in the comments in the YouTube. Tell us what we got right. Tell us what we got wrong. Tell us, call us names, whatever. I don't care. On Wednesdays, I'm one of your hosts. I'm John Karalis, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast at John_Karalis on Twitter.
And I'm Jake Madison at NOLA Jake on Twitter and the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
Nick Angstead, Pat the Designer, got you tomorrow on the Locked On NBA podcast. Thanks for listening to the Locked On NBA podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.